The players have each other's lives in their hands, while the banishment of one player leads to a surprising announcement. The previous night, the traitors were given a murder in plain sight mission, which had some stakes attached. We know it was completed, which meant there would be a murder and they'll get a chance to meet the secret traitor. The traitors, or rather Lisa and Rob R, picked another gamer to eliminate, as they chose Rob C. It was the logical move to take. As far as we know, none of the players were talking about him being a possible traitor. That would then make him a dangerous faithful. Rob C foretold his own demise without knowing it was him on the receiving end. The toast for Rob C shouldn't have been funny, but it didn't stop me from laughing. I thought it was interesting that Alan gave clues but didn't directly say that Rob C was eliminated via a murder in plain sight. This thing between Michael and Jam Jam looks like it's gonna keep being a distraction until one of them is either banished or murdered. The tunnel vision faithful against another faithful has been seen many times. They'll usually get kept in the game for a while because it's a constant distraction, until they are both no longer useful. I'm surprised Tiffany told Michael about her conversation with Jam Jam at the previous roundtable. I thought there was going to be a gamer alliance. Alan decided to switch things up a bit and announced there would be a roundtable before the mission. While sitting in the armor room, Tiffany tried to give Michael some advice. I don't think Michael is playing the game particularly well, so you would think he might listen to Tiffany's advice. How convenient that Kristen, Mark and Natalie left the bar just before Michael and Tiffany left the armor room. I didn't even get a feel of where the suspicions were lying, so it looked like the same names from the previous night would come up, plus Ron and Jam Jam. Donna decided to get in the game, and I wish for her game that she was like this before. I think she was much better with having conversations, talking about who she suspected, and she brought that to the roundtable. I learned today that some people still use the word dopest. Would anyone say Michael is the best looking and dopest faithful? At this point, I would vote Michael out regardless of his role. While it might be entertaining for some viewers, it's completely unhelpful to the faithfuls. He's a distraction. What's with the singing? He's being kind of childish. There's no strategy here. Faithfuls get so consumed in having to find the traitors because it's called the traitors that they miss a key thing. You need to survive as a faithful. There will always be at least 2 traitors before the round table on the penultimate day, but the faithfuls will dwindle in numbers. You want to be one of those that make it to the final, and if not, you want to either do all you can to help the faithful win, or make yourself a good option for recruitment or blackmail, which doesn't end up with you being a sacrifice for banishment. When it came to the vote, Donna didn't have a chance. The only player that didn't vote for Donna was Michael. Not only did they banish a traitor, they banished the secret traitor. Wow, what a hit. It's a shame she started off so slow in the game. It wasn't a good game plan. I think Donna used the starstruck angle a bit too much. It could only fly on the first day, but as she then got to know them as people, Donna should have pivoted quicker. Did she even know who all of them were to have been so starstruck by everyone? Donna could have used the second day to really play the game, like in this episode. I feel like if you're the kind of person who is more on the quieter side, that can be okay, but you have to talk game. I wonder if one of the reasons Donna was apprehensive at the start was because she didn't want to name an actual traitor, and her lack of knowledge on who they were may have made her hesitant. I think this was a missed opportunity by picking Donna as the secret traitor. When I first heard this element was going to be used, my first thought was that they should pick Dorinda for it, as they seemed to not want to pick any of the gamers as traitors, and already had 2 housewives picked. I think there were a number of people that could and should have been picked as the secret traitor instead. Plus, with the early boot, it spoilt what would have been a reveal that could have been dragged out for at least one more episode. The players needed to pair up with one player they trust with their lives. There was an odd number of players, which would end up putting that player immediately up for murder. Each pair needed to decide which one of the pair would be locked in the cages. Michael, Eric, Caroline, Lisa, Jam Jam, Natalie, Kristen, Candice and Maura went in the cages. As Ron didn't have a partner, he was the one automatically up for murder. The other half of the pair would need to search the marsh for skulls and stack 10 skulls on the plinth, which would release their caged partner. For each freed player, $5,000 would be added to the prize pot. They had 10 minutes to free their partner. While others were trying to stack the skulls and some were even freed, Johnny was still looking for skulls. In fact, he was still looking when the 10 minutes were up. At the end of the 10 minutes, Caroline, Eric, Kristen, Lisa, along with Ron, were still left in the cages. This meant Caroline, Eric, Kristen and Ron were up for murder, which would end up being a face-to-face one. I'm not surprised Michael and Tiffany pairing up raised concerns. Tiffany's plan is a little short-sighted. Yes, you might be in good favour with a traitor, but you're banking on them actually being a traitor. Being seen to have such trust with someone the other faithfuls think is a traitor might have faithfuls see you in a different light, as someone that can't be trusted. At least one misguided faithful now thinks Tiffany is a traitor. Not sure why the murders of the gamers wouldn't make sense to anyone who is actually paying attention. The gamers have the potential to be dangerous players, whether that's as a faithful or a traitor. I also think the housewives can be too, but in a different way. Any group of players that have connections like that are dangerous. And in the experience of playing social strategy games, you would find the opportunity to cut their numbers in half and find a way to pin it on another. Then again, sometimes you don't need to set them up, because some faithfuls will just come to that conclusion and do the dirty work for the traitors. Does Colton see himself as the next Pete or Dylan as the faithful of faithfuls? Because it's not given. The traitors will need to stop that. If Colton gets too much of a standing in the game, he'll just end up finding himself at the end and someone that will be hard to banish. Lisa joined her fellow traitors and went into the woods where Caroline, Eric, Kristen and Ron were tied up to a tree and blindfolded. Killing Ron would confuse the crap out of the faithfuls, but they'll probably want to keep him because he's in the frame for banishment. I don't think there's a particular case for the others other than Caroline being a housewife, so maybe she's the one to go for.